City of Lowell of Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing September 11, 2006, at 6:30 p.m. concerning the following petitions. Before we do go to the petitions, I just want to have a moment of silence for the people that passed away for September 11th. Thank you. We have a continuance, Drake Petroleum, 378 Gorham Street. We have a letter that they're going to continue for 2 more weeks. They're not, they don't have the proper paperwork here tonight. Is there anybody here for this petition? Okay. We need a motion from the board if they want to hear the continuance in 2 weeks.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue to September the 25th.
Need a second? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Belanger?
Continue.
Mr. Flynn?
Continue.
Mr. Noon?
Continue.
Mr. Square?
Continue.
And Mr. Kazanjian?
Continue. Okay, new business. OmniPoint Communications, Inc., 840 Merrimack Street, for the installation of wireless communication antennas and related accessory equipment, stop and within the existing structure. Are they here tonight? Yes, sir. Why don't you come to the podium, sign in, and state your name and address, please.
Sorry, wrong address. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Appeals. My name is Brian Grossman. I'm an attorney with Prince LaBelle, Glovsky & Ty. We represent OmniPoint Communications. OmniPoint has applied for a special permit to install, operate, and maintain a wireless communications facility at 840 Merrimack Street, something we also refer to as the St. Joseph's Professional Center. Pursuant to the ordinance, it is allowed by a special permit on the property. The proposal, and I'll walk you through it with the use of some plans.
One all set up if you want to use that one.
Got this one now. Thank you, Doug.
Do me a favor, how about putting that easel right over there where the other one is so the camera can pick up on it? Thank you.
So you say.
Check, check.
Perfect. The proposal is to look at antennas on the existing building. It will resolve a significant gap in coverage that OmniPoint has in this particular area of Lowell. The gap includes coverage and capacity issues. We'll work in conjunction with other sites in the area to provide adequate coverage to this particular significant gap in this area. The facility is the proposal rather is to locate antennas on the existing structure, and then there is also one proposed faux vent pipe. There are two different locations where antennas would be facade mounted. One is, and if you're looking at this facade plan, or this roof plan here, it correlates to the plot plan. So you have Pawtucket Street, which runs using the roof plan. Pawtucket Street on the roof plan would be here. Merrimack Street would run this way. Salem Street would be towards the bottom of this plan. Located near the rear of the building, near off Salem Street, would be two antennas. Those panel antennas would be facade mounted. They would not extend above the existing height of the structure. There's a second antenna that faces actually off towards Salem Street, and that would also be facade mounted to the existing building, and again would not extend above the height of the existing structure. The third sector presented a different location challenge and did not provide an opportunity to facade mount the antennas like the other two sectors had been. So in order to try and camouflage that particular sector, what we did was propose a stealth enclosure around the panel antenna. It's not functional, but it is in some ways decorative, or a camouflaging technique that we have to make it appear as if it's a vent pipe or a flue coming off of the existing penthouse. And that penthouse is located more towards Merrimack Street, but also kind of near that intersection of Pawtucket Street and Merrimack. The vent pipe would not extend more than 10 feet over the total height of the building, and would actually be to the antenna center line of that would be 92 feet 1 inch, and to the actual top is 95 feet 1 inch as well. The equipment itself will actually be located inside the building, so the equipment itself is not going to be visible. That includes, typical of the OmniPoint proposals that this board has seen before, 3 BTS cabinets, that's the base transmission system cabinets, the brains of the operation, provide the radio communications equipment for the site to function. 1 power and telephone cabinet. Facility is serviced by standard power and telephone utilities, and also 1 battery backup cabinet, so there is no generator associated with the facility. The only other elements of the facility are coaxial cables that are connected from the antennas, running along the roof, and then down through the building into the equipment room, and also 2 small GPS and E911 antennas, 1 each. And that allows the site to comply with FCC regulations with regard to E911 service. And again, just on that third page, what you have is actually the facade of the building showing the equipment, or the panel antenna locations, and showing that 1 false flue. One additional piece of information that was actually included in the packets, but was actually done in black and white, are the photo simulations that we did demonstrating the false vent pipe as well as a facade-mounted sector, so you could see what that would look like with this building. The antennas will be painted to match, when the facade-mounted antennas will be painted to match the existing structure. So I have those for you as well. In sum, the site will comply with all FCC regulations with regard to radio frequency emissions. OmniPoint is an FCC licensed carrier and will operate in accordance with the license that was issued to it by the FCC. The site is consistent with the ordinance. It will meet the social, economic, and community needs. It will provide emergency communications as well as personal and business communication services to the area, where there is currently a significant gap in OmniPoint's network. In terms of traffic flow and safety, there won't be a material impact on traffic, as with most other sites of this nature that you've seen. Typically 1 to 2 visits per month by authorized personnel to access the facility, ensure it's in good working order, and perform any maintenance that may be necessary. Site is low impact on municipal services, doesn't have any impact on schools, doesn't bring additional children into the area. It really doesn't have any need for municipal services at all. It doesn't generate trash, doesn't generate sewage, so it doesn't require those services as well. And given the area that we're seeking to cover, given the existing structure that we've been able to utilize, and how we've been able to design a facility that integrates as best as possible into the existing structure, we believe it'll have minimal visual impact as well.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here like to speak in favor for this petition? 840 Merrimack Street, in favor? Anyone in opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll open it to the board. Jack, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it appears that the petitioner has definitely done their homework. I like the idea of the mounting on the facade, looking particularly at the color photos. It does not seem to affect the area aesthetically. And based on what I see here, and particularly in the colored photos, which depict it significantly clearer than the original packet, I would be in favor of this petition.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Vesa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many antenna altogether for this building?
There's actually 4. There's 2 on the one sector that's facade mounted that faces kind of towards the middle of the 2 streets. There's that one sector that faces over Salem Street, which has 1, and then that false flue has 1 antenna within it as well.
The height of the antenna from the top of the building?
For the false flue
Yes.
is 95 feet 1 inch.
Thank you very much. I too concur with my colleague that the location for this petition is suitable for this proposal, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Who are you leasing the space from? And my other question is, are they a nonprofit? And have you met with the city to discuss any in lieu of payment of taxes if they are a nonprofit?
There was actually a copy of a redacted copy of the lease agreement included at tab 8 of the original package, and the lessee is Advantage Health Venture Corp. I'm not sure if they are a nonprofit or not. I know this issue has come up before, and I believe we've been able to work with the assessor on that issue. Confident we'll be able to do so again.
Okay, I think that would be part of the, if we make a motion, maybe, certainly if I made one, that would be part of the agreement that you would meet with the assessor's office and work out some sort of payment so the city's at least receiving something back in case it was on a nonprofit structure or something like that. I think, is there any residents that are living in that building now, whether it's daycare or inpatient care, or is there anything like that there presently?
I'm not sure if there are actual residents in the building. As I know we refer to it as a professional center, it's a healthcare facility. Whether there are permanent residents other than people who may be staying there for a visit, I'm not sure.
Okay, and you're going to have nothing external to the property other than what's on the roof, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I also agree with my fellow colleagues, and I see no problem with this petition, so I would be in favor of this. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Yeah, I think this is in a commercial area where the antennas that are there won't do any harm to anybody. But that is a standard procedure we have as far as nonprofit, or whether it's nonprofit or not, you still have to go to the city and get assessed for this at some point. The city has to get some type of income out of this, where the nonprofit is not paying any type of taxes at all. So that would definitely be a condition. Also, you said these antennas could be 95 feet 1 inch. Is that correct?
Well, only the one, the false flue. The others will actually be facade mounted, and they won't extend up above the facade that they're on. They'll
Okay,
be-
the other one you're talking about, is going to extend how far from beyond that point?
That's, the false flue is the one that will extend 95 feet, well, will extend to a total height of 95 feet,
Okay,
1
yeah.
inch. It'll be less than 10 feet off of the roof line that it's
Okay,
on.
10 feet above the roof line, is that?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right, I have no problem with it. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve with the condition that you go to the assessor's office and work out a payment plan for the revenue for the city of Lowell.
Do I hear a second? I hear a second. Call the roll, please.
Seconded?
Mr. Knox?
Approved.
Mr. Flynn?
Approve.
Mr. Noon?
Approve with condition.
Mr. Squire?
Approve with condition.
And Mr. Kazanjian?
Approving conditions. It's been approved with 5 votes. We need to sign some paperwork before you leave.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Eva Development LLC, 724 Chelmsford Street, to allow a small takeout restaurant without the required parking.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Attorney Steve Panagiotakis. I represent Avia Development, LLC. We are here before the board asking for relief from the parking requirement, zoning ordinance 6.1.4. It's a high-rise commercial zone. Mr. Matheos, the principal of Avia Development, LLC, has built on 724 Chelmsford Street, which was previously a vacant lot for many, many years in the city of Lowell, a beautiful strip mall. I think that has certainly added value to the neighborhood, into the city tax rolls, but also to the streetscape. It's a gorgeous building. He has 8 units in there, 6 at 1,200 square feet and 2 at 2,100 square feet. Currently, he is beginning the leasing process. He has 2 leases with for 2 of the 1,200 square foot units, one with a hairdresser salon and one with a cosmetology center. He is also negotiating currently right now with a national franchised takeout sandwich shop, and because of the current zoning ordinance and parking requirements in the high-rise commercial that makes no distinction between fully seated restaurants and primarily takeout restaurants, he would have to provide 24 of his 38 parking spots. He has 36 regular spots, 2 handicap. 24 of those would have to be designated for this 1,200 square foot primarily takeout restaurant. So we feel that giving the use, that the actual use that will be in that unit, that the ordinance is excessive, and it certainly does not, it's a hardship for the overall parking requirement on the development, and it certainly does not nullify or substantially derogate the intent of the zoning ordinance, or is it a detriment to the public good here in the city of Lowell? And we would ask for relief from this board from that parking requirement.
Very good, thanks. Is there anyone here like to speak in favor for this petition at 724 Chelmsford Street, in favor? Anybody in opposition? Yes, sir. When you step up to the podium, sign in, state your name and address, and tell us what you don't like about the project.
Yes, my name is Joe Bryan. I actually own 2 houses right across the street from 724. I own 705 and 709 Chelmsford Street, as well as 715 Chelmsford Street. As you, I'm sure, well know, that there's going to be a Lowe's going in right next door to this area, and there's going to be a back entrance or exit, which they're calling it right now, apparently with a light situation too. I already have a difficult time getting in and out of my driveway, okay? So with the extra Lowe's traffic, with the traffic right across the street from Old English Village, which apparently has 84 apartments and over 100 different names for billing or mailing addresses over there. There's a bunch of traffic going through there already, and I just don't see how we could add more traffic to that area at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition? In opposition? Okay. Before I do open it to the board, I just want to say that he's done a great job on that piece of property. It was vacant for years. If I'm not mistaken, is that the piece of property had a set of stairs on it
Yes.
for years and
Yes.
years?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And also bringing great tax revenue into the city. What type of restaurant is going there?
It's a national sandwich shop.
Sandwich shop, like a takeout if you want to order?
Primarily takeout.
okay.
In fact, under the terms of the lease, they could only have, are allowed up to 16 stools in the place.
Okay.
It's mostly for people sitting, waiting for their takeout.
So mostly somebody would call for a sandwich and...
Absolutely, yeah.
Is there any type of delivery service, or is it just a
No
pickup
delivery service, I believe.
Okay, all right. I'll open up to the board and see what kind of questions they have. Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with the chairman's opening remarks about the property itself, and I think what has to be taken into consideration is the petitioner has taken the time to invest, develop the property. He has now available space. Something is going to go there, or else it becomes vacant. If it becomes vacant, then what happens? The property falls on hard times, he has to sell it. I think we're obligated to find some sort of compromise. Some business is going to go there, whether it's a takeout sandwich shop or another business. I don't know a business that's not going to draw some semblance of traffic at some point or another. People are going to go there for services, if it's a laundromat, regardless of what it is. So at that being said, and taking into consideration the quality and the upkeep of the property, I actually would be in favor of this petition.
Corey?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm in agreement with my colleague. If it's going to be a sandwich shop like that, I think it'll be primarily takeout, as being in a similar business myself. We have high-rise there, Wang Towers, Cross Point and whatnot. I think it'll be a lot of business takeout, and it'd certainly complement that new strip mall nicely, which they've done a fantastic job, as everyone has stated, and I think it's a good petition. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think the neighbor has a good point. It's definitely, the area's booming. I'm not sure if Lowe's is guaranteed to go in yet. I know it's not there presently. But I think the big thing on something like this is that parking lot is very large to begin with. There's a lot of spaces. And I'm not sure if it'll ever reach full capacity, because I don't think you're missing what you need anyways by all that many, correct?
It matters what happens to go in there. If we use 24 for just the restaurant, that leaves approximately 7 units left, but actually the 2 bigger ones will probably have more parking, needed more parking required to it. So you're probably looking, we're probably over by about 8, or we'd be under by about 8 to 10 spots.
Right. And I think the way the gentleman laid out the parking lot, he made the sight lines very good. It's well off the street, concrete sidewalks all around it. Did a very nice job. I mean, it would be a shame not to have somebody go in there right from the beginning to make it as successful as possible. So, like my colleagues, I would agree with, I think it's a good choice for that location, and I think it will work out in the long run. And I think the gentleman's also right. You need to keep an eye on what's happening in the neighborhood, and hopefully you won't have too much overdevelopment up there. But for this one here, I would definitely be in favor for it.
Okay. Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, what would the hours be of operation?
The hours are from 10 to...
10 to 9.
10 to 9, I believe. 10 to 9?
10 to 9?
Yep.
Okay. Would that be feasible to do alternate parking? I mean, when the people from the other stores leave, they would be able to use that for
Oh, yes, we would.
additional parking
Absolutely.
spaces,
yeah.
right?
Yes, of course.
In that case, I'd be in favor of that,
course.
this petition, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Any second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Noon?
Approve.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve?
Mr. Squire?
Approve.
Mr. Flynn?
Approve.
And Mr. Kazanjian?
Approved. It's been approved with 5 votes, so we need to sign some paperwork before you leave. I just want to thank the neighbors for coming. And like Mr. Squire said, I don't think that Lowe's is a done deal yet. I'm not sure what's happening with it, but I don't know. Okay. Thanks again. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
You guys sign some paperwork. Patrick Meehan, 730 Lawrence Street, to convert a 2-family to a 3-family without required off-street parking. Yes, sir.
How you doing? I'm Patrick Meehan. I reside at 730 Lawrence Street. I also own, it's a 2-family home right now. I'm trying to convert it to a 3-family. I think you know that. I originally bought the house 5 years ago, and there was an apartment up on the 3rd floor. I've recently done probably $20,000 worth of renovations to the 1st floor to bring that up to code. Upon trying to complete my building permit, the fire department stated that I need to rezone the house for a 3-family because of the apartment on the 3rd floor. I do have pictures of the apartment. There is separate egresses in and out, hardwired smoke alarms. The Housing Authority has granted us 2 spots for my house, the 730 and 732 on the Faulkner Street parking. My uncle lives down the street. His address is 796 Lawrence Street. He has a very long driveway, and he's also granted me the use of his driveway. Do I just bring this up to you?
Yes.
I'm also in the process,
Go ahead.
of painting the exterior of the house, trying to get the house together, get it rented.
Okay, is that it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, is there anybody here like to speak in favor for this petition? In favor? Ed, Mr. Rosa, can you sign in and state your name and address, please?
My name is Edward Rocher. I own 796 Lawrence Street, and this boy is my nephew, and he does have parking spaces available at that property.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, how far is 796 from 730?
It's probably less than 200 yards.
200 yards?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody in opposition? Like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I think we'll open up to the board. Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think the problem is, do you have any parking spots for the property now off-street?
No, there is no parking
Okay.
for the apartment. I wish I could give you a plot plan, but There's a house to the left of me and to the right of me, and the,
We have a plot plan up here now.
Deeded rights.
oh, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have 2 deeded rights with the Faulkner Street. I've tried to contact the gentleman for Faulkner Street, and I was not able to get in touch with him for the past 2 weeks.
Who's this now?
I don't remember his name, I keep getting his receptionist.
From where?
Lowell Housing Authority.
Lowell Housing? What does the Lowell Housing have to do with this?
Faulkner Street.
Okay,
It's an elderly housing development.
right?
They deeded me 2 spots on their property.
It's in your deed, or you've leased, or?
It's not leased. I can't say for certain it is deeded. I haven't looked at my deed in a while.
It's not on this deed.
No, I don't think it would be.
Excuse me. This was my family's home when he bought it, and my sister lived there before that. And since the house is directly across the street or diagonally across the street from the fire department, engine 11, ladder 1, there's an encroachment in front of the house for a parking spot. So my sister fought with the housing authority to get 2 spaces off the housing authority. And as far as I know, those were deeded to her.
I guess my question would be, you have a 2-family there presently, correct?
Yes.
It's just a tough corner. We just approved something for that bend around the corner, and I believe there's another project we approved recently for some condominiums that are going in on Lawrence Street. And with the fire station so close in proximity, I just have a problem with it being any more congested because of the bad sight lines and because of and none of the congestion that's there is your problem from the past. It's just inherent with that intersection. It's a tough intersection. I think, Mr. Chairman, and my fellow board members, I'm against the project as it stands because of the parking situation. And I understand he's trying to revitalize the property and put a lot of money into it. It's just that I think that a 2-family is probably what it should remain. There's just no parking, and that's my concern.
I agree with Mr. Squire. You have no parking at all. You have 2-family there now. That houses X amount of people that's required to have 4 parking spaces. You don't have the 4 parking spaces as it is right now, and you want to add 2 more spaces. That's required. You're required to have 6, and you don't have any at all on the lot. Your uncle's willing to give you 2 spots 200 yards down the road, but realistically, how many people can really use that?
Well,
And if it's raining out, how many people are actually going to park 200 yards down the road and walk to the home? I mean, they're going to try to park out front and make it work. I mean, and that's a busy corner, especially with that fire department coming in and out of there. I don't know if I just really can't see it working. And if you could find some parking to one of the adjacent lots, we'd be more than willing to work with you and try to help you out. But you say you have parking in the Lowell housing for 2 spaces, and it's supposedly on the deed. He has a deed in front of him, Mr. Squire, and he doesn't see anything on the deed. Or you don't have any type of lease for the housing. So they might have worked out some type of situation with your sister and gave it just verbally at the time, but it's nothing in writing that you can actually say, yeah, we have 2 deeded spots here.
If I was to recontact the housing authority and have them put in writing that they agreed to give me these 2 spots because I have to have stickers on my car or else I'll tow them, would that help in the consideration?
It would help somewhat, but you're still shy. I mean, you're still shy of 4 parking spaces. And if you can find, if you have that, and you have some additional parking on one of the adjacent lots that's one of the abutters, or maybe across the street, I can see that. But I don't want to see coming in for 200 or so yards down the road, and all of a sudden you're using that for parking. It's something a little bit closer, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion. I'm going to open up the board and let's see what the board has to say. Ed Vesta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even assuming that the Lowell Housing would grant you the 2 parking, the problem remained that like the Vice Chairman indicated, that corner is very busy corners, and to add another problem to it, I can't see myself voting for it tonight. There's no hardship addressed. You didn't address those hardships, if any at all, you created by adding another unit to it. I'm against this petition tonight.
Go ahead, Corey.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I spent some time on the property today, like I'm sure we all have, and I met with Mr. Meehan, and he is making some improvements to the property, and seems like a good resident of the city, and he's trying to do the right thing here. But unfortunately, I'm not willing to grant him this special permanent variance in this case. Yes, Mr. Roach, they seem to get along, and he'll work with you now, but if he sells in a year or two down the road, that's not going to carry to the new owners. We all know that. And I'm sorry, it's just too busy, too congested there. With the firehouse, a big fire truck takes that corner. They need clearance getting out of there. It's just very difficult. I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, I'm not for this. Thank you very much.
Go, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Some valid points made by my fellow board members, in particular, Mr. Belanger's point about the agreement that you may have if the property is sold. The agreement's now invalid. Also, there is no validation of your neighbor's sister's agreement. That also concerns me. And then the other point, which the chairman has mentioned about the 200 yards, and you may say that you yourself may walk it, but imagine a wintry night in February, 200 yards, fire trucks, whatever it might be. Those conditions, I don't think, knowing that neighborhood as well as we do, that I could also support this petition. I agree with Mr. Belanger. I think that the property, you're trying to do the best by it. It's a problem we deal with almost at every meeting. We have individuals who are applying for variances, and without any off-street parking validated, I think it's a very difficult petition to vote in favor of. Therefore, I would also vote to deny.
Jack, you want to say something? All set? Okay, like I said, it doesn't look like the board is going to be in favor for this petition, but we'd like to work with you later on, if you can, if you want to try to find some additional parking, like I said, in the adjacent lots. Maybe you can work something out with some of the neighbors, and we'd be more than happy to work with you.
I have one last question.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to finish a building permit that needs to be authorized by the fire department. How do I get that finalized? Because now, obviously, I'm not going to get it zoned for a three-family. How do I get the building permit finished, signed off on?
You have to check with the building department. Call somebody in the building department, and I'm sure they can answer whatever questions you have.
Okay.
Okay? I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Call the roll, please.
Deny.
Mr. Flynn?
Deny.
Mr. Squire?
Deny.
Mr. Knox?
Deny.
And Mr. Kazanjian?
Denied. Been denied with 5 votes. Thanks for coming. Like I said, if you can find some additional parking, we'll be more than happy to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have the Acre Triangle Community, 511 Moody Street. To complete historical renovation for the existing structure, former school building, to 15 units of affordable housing without required parking. Mr. Flood?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, James Flood, 81 Bridge Street, Lowell, Mass., representing the Acre Triangle Community Development Corporation. We're before you tonight to request a variance to allow us to completely historically renovate the former St. Joseph's Grammar School located at 511 Moody Street into 15 affordable units. In preparing the plan for the renovation, and my client has worked very closely with the City of Lowell Historic Commission. In order to qualify for various historic credits, they must maintain as much of the interior of the building as possible, and that's why we resulted with 15 units. That's part of the historic grants. As the project is presently designed, it has 4 one-bedroom units, 10 two-bedroom units, and 1 three-bedroom unit. And they run from size from 625 square feet to 1,175 square feet. The plan before you tonight consists of 13 parking spaces, 12 regular parking spaces, and 1 handicap space. We have appeared in front of the City of Lowell Planning Board, and the Planning Board has approved this proposed development. I have with me, which I'll give the board right now, a copy of the decision from the Planning Board, a copy of the memorandum from the planning staff indicating that because it's an affordable housing project, they felt that the provided parking was sufficient. I have a memorandum from the City of Lowell traffic engineer that also says that the parking as proposed is sufficient for an affordable project. And I also have a memorandum that we submitted to the planning board, prepared by staff, that indicates there is sufficient overnight parking on the surrounding street. So I'll give that to you right now.
Mr. Chairman, I think I'll make a tape change in the interim.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you can all appreciate, and I'm sure you've all gone to see the building, because of the shape and the size of the lot and the size of the structure on the property. We're doing all we can to provide as much parking as possible, and to deny this request, I think, would cause my client to suffer substantial hardship. I also think that this requested relief can be granted without derogating from the intent of the zoning ordinance, because if it was across the street, all they would require was 1 space, like the mill project. So, and I don't think it would be, I think this would be beneficial to the neighborhood, because it seems to be, it seems to need some improvement. I have representatives of the petitioner with me that can explain the project. Like I said, they're all going to be affordable. And it's, as the DPD staff indicated, they don't think there is need for the required parking at this project, so.
Okay.
We apologize for being late. We thought, since we were fourth on the agenda, that we were going to have to wait, so I'm glad we made it. I'm Laura Buxbaum. I'm the executive director of the Coalition for a Better Acre. And I don't have much to add to what Jim said, other than to say that, to talk a little bit about the population that's going to be served. As Jim said, it's going to be all affordable, but it'll be a mix of incomes, mostly family, but we're going to have 4 one-bedroom units, at least 2 of which, probably 3 of which, will be for folks who have some kind of disability, mental, physical, or something that requires them to have this housing at a much lower rate. And we're pretty certain that most of those people either don't have a car or certainly will only have 1 car, and most of the folks that we're going to serve would only have 1 car at the most. So in terms of parking, we don't see that there's a need for additional parking. There's a great need in the neighborhood, and if you've looked at the school over the last 10 years, you know there's a great need for it to be redeveloped, and we're very, very pleased to finally be getting that into motion, and we expect to do a beautiful job. It's going to be a historic renovation, and will be as well managed as the rest of our properties. So, I don't know if you have specific questions.
Is this going to be owned and operated by the Coalition of Better Acre? Is that?
I'm sorry?
Is this going to be owned and operated by the Acre?
Like our other properties, it will be owned by a spin-off corporation. So it won't be directly owned. CBA doesn't directly own any of the properties, but we're the sponsor. It'll probably be owned by Acre Triangle CDC, which is an ownership entity, or we may form a new partnership as we did with North Canal.
Okay, and who's actually doing the work, the Acre Triangle or the Coalition of Better Acre?
Coalition for a Better Acre has the final responsibility.
Okay,
These corporations are set up only because we are a nonprofit and we need to set up for-profit corporations to be ownership entities. I, as executive director, have the final responsibility. We contract the management of all of our properties out to Maloney Properties, which does a great job, and we directly oversee their work.
even when the building's completed and it's turned over to the Acre Triangle, you oversee everything that's going on?
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
Okay,
and,
okay.
we're right there.
Okay, all right.
We'll hear about it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Anybody like to speak in favor? Anybody? Yes?
My name's Heidi Mae Curtis. I come from the Moody area, and I just want to let people know that this was a public people. The people in the area made the decision. Outside people did. And the people is the one who came to us to tell us what they really wanted to be done with that apartment. So it's a really community-ish people who did all the decisions.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
Hi, my name is Tyler Jones. I live on Suffolk Street, and I'm the president of the Coalition for Better Acre. And I'm in favor of it. I don't see it as an Acre project or a CBA project. I see it as a community of Lowell project, because the point is we all need somewhere to live in affordable apartments. So I see it as a Lowell community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak in favor? Anybody in opposition? Like to speak in opposition? Okay, hearing none, let's open to the board. Jack, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the last gentleman who just spoke was, what he realizes, are not eloquent and to the point, in that this is not just about the acre, it's about the entire city and making sure there's affordable housing. I think the plan looks terrific, and I think it's exactly what we need. I think also the lady who spoke made some valid points about the kind of individuals, meaning if they're disabled or low income. I think it's a valid point. Some may not even have vehicles, or at most have one vehicle, and I think that also has to be taken into consideration as this board votes. All that being said, I would certainly be in favor of this petition.
Thanks, Jack. Corey?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I was on the site today for some time, and it's disheartening when you see a building like that with boards on it for a long time. And what's going on here is phenomenal. I really, really like what's going on here. I think the parking spots will be adequate for the use, we'll say, and I think it's a great project, Mr. Chairman. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Feza?
I concur with my fellow board that also want to add that what CBA have done for the acres was a great job, and not only done for the acre, but also involved the acres, the tenant, the people who live there. And this is one of the great projects that certainly include and involve the people in the acres and surrounding cities. So I too in favor of this petition.
Thank you. Dan?
I'm all set, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I feel that it'll be a big improvement to the neighborhood, and I do not think that the parking will be a problem, so I would also be in favor of this petition. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it seems like it's a real good project over here. Number one, you're gonna spruce up that Moody Street area. New landscaping, parking lot. I think it's a home run for that area and for the community. I'm in favor for it. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve.
Mr. Flynn?
Approve.
Mr. Noon?
Approve.
Mr. Square?
Approve.
And Mr. Kazanjian?
Approved. Been approved with 5 votes. Good luck.
Yeah, it is. I like it. I really do. I think it's great. There we go.
I'm there just about twice a day because I got hospice in there now.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second the motion.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes.